Hi everyone, I'm Lisa from learnwithconfidence.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I am so excited to share this interview with you today because I feel like this topic that we're going to be discussing is a very pertinent one for what we're going through this pandemic. But pandemic aside, we have been noticing that a lot more children have been struggling with anxiety. And parents feel really out of their depth when they have to support their children. So the purpose of this video is to give you as much support as you can. This segment is just part of the entire masterclass, where we really get in depth with talking about topics like why do children experience more anxiety? What are some of the signs we can be looking for, and how can we know if our children are struggling with anxiety? And then finally, we discuss on a very, very practical level, how can we actually support our children with their anxiety? So the free masterclass, you can get access to that at the link in the description below. Please do that so that you can get all the wealth of knowledge that our guest expert, Claire Jager from Happy Family Tools, all of the goodness that she shares on there. She is an incredible person, and she is a play therapist. And she supports families in this particular topic. This is her passion, is helping families with anxiety. So enjoy the video, and I will see you at the masterclass. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa from learnwithconfidence.com, and today we are talking about anxiety in children. And today I've got Claire Jager from Happy Family Tools joining me to discuss how we can support children who have anxiety. And what we as moms especially, and in our families, what we can do to support them and help them through those struggles. So welcome, Claire. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
All right. Claire, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do to help families and through the ups and downs of life?
Okay. So, yeah, I'm a social worker. That's my background. And I've specialized in play therapy. And my passion really is for helping children to feel better, specifically looking at emotions, but also to build up families and also to empower parents. So it's really, really important for me that parents know how to manage the difficulties that their children are experiencing, but that we also empower the children to be able to manage them too. So it's really a whole business of empowerment, if that's what you want to call it. Our children can do well if they know that they're supported, and if they know that they're loved, and if they know that they're understood.
Absolutely. And I feel like if everyone is working together, it has so much more of an effect than if just one person is trying to pull their weight. You know, the children have to pull their weight, parents have to pull their weight, teachers, everyone working together. As a teacher, that's what I've seen is most effective when it comes to helping children. Yeah.
And I think that's important to understand in the play therapy that I do, that we cannot take a child and work with them in isolation. We're not going to be able to fix the circumstances that a child is experiencing just by seeing the child. We need to be working with the parents. We need to be working with the school, just all the areas that are involved in the child's life to be able to improve things for a child. So that's really important. And when we work with children, we make children aware of that, so that we have permission to talk to parents, permission to talk to the schools, so that everybody knows what's happening, but the children know that we're doing it to support them.
So important, for sure. All right. Let's start talking about our topic. I think we all know with the pandemic, everyone has felt a lot more anxiety than they usually do. But pandemic aside, maybe we can talk a bit about that just now. But I've noticed as a teacher how much more in the years of teaching, like how many more children are struggling with anxiety. And I think there's a lot of parents who feel like their children are anxious and they're not sure where it's coming from or why they're feeling like that. Maybe you can shed some light today about maybe why children are feeling more anxious these days than they used to.
Yeah. It's a difficult one because anxiety, as you say, comes from so many different places. I would say one of the biggest things at the moment is just that life is so rushed. Everything is busy. I've often said to parents, count how many times you say to your children in a day, quickly get in the car, quickly eat your breakfast, quickly. Life is so rushed. And if you're being rushed all the time, that automatically creates a sense of anxiety. So we've got that happening on the one side. And then we've got the when I say competitive, I'm trying to be careful. We've got competitive parents, but we also have children that are very competitive. And if I'm good at something, I need to do that and that and that and that. And so we have children that are overcommitting. We have parents that are overcommitting children. Again, I'm often saying to parents, your child needs at least one afternoon off a week just to play. Our children need time to just put their feet up and just be themselves and just do nothing, really. Which brings us to the next problem. When our children do nothing at the moment, nothing is on a screen. That's not the nothing I'm talking about. So the nothing on a screen is the empty box. We talk about, we often joke about men having empty boxes, right? Where they go into the cave and they've just got a place where they sit and they do nothing. That's what our children do when they're on screens. They sit and do nothing. So they don't process their day. They don't deal with the difficulties they've experienced. None of that happens. So when I talk about time off just to play, time off just to be, that's not with a screen. That's time for them to think through things, to process things. They can do it by listening to music. They can kick a ball outside. They can do anything, but it mustn't be competitive, and it must be just time to relax. So that becomes the next problem. Then we have anxious parents, right? So if we come home from work and we're anxious, which I know definitely happens in my house, then our children feed off that anxiety because they link to us on an emotional level. So we get anxious, they get anxious. Again, when we're anxious, we also want people to jump to and do things quickly. So when we say to our child, please hop in the bath, and they don't, then we lose the plot. And they can't understand why we came home in such a bad mood. But it's actually that we're bringing home our anxiety of whatever we've struggled with at work back into the home. And then we still have children that really have a genetic they might come from a family where there is a genetic link. So mom or dad might be anxious and possibly medicated for that, and then they're at a higher risk of that as well. So yeah, there are so many different ways, and that's before the pandemic. There are so many different things that is causing anxiety in our kids. And sometimes it's even comparisons within families, and sometimes parents don't feel like they're doing it. But just Jimmy was able to get such good marks. Why are you struggling so much? We do get comparisons like that, and then sometimes we've got great parents, but the children are comparing themselves, and that creates an anxiety as well. I'm always trying to encourage parents to look at what is the specific gift that child has. So even if you've got twins, what is the gift away from academics? Because everybody has something else that they're good at. This one's good at coloring in. This one's good at running. This one's good at creating things. Find something that your child is good at that is different to everybody else in the family, and then build them on that. So every time they do compare marks or whatever, that you can say, yes, but maybe you don't get such good marks, but you're so good at building, so that they know that they're good at something, because that's where self-esteem comes from. And remember, if we have got self-esteem and we've got confidence in who we are, that's going to help us manage anxiety as well. So one of the things but no, I'll go into that later with symptoms.
Okay, great. I think that's so important, because if your self-esteem is low, then you do compare yourself more to other people, and that then it just exacerbates the problem. Sure. So would you suggest for parents, I know we'll get to some tips a bit later, but just talking about that time out during the day for the children, would you suggest that parents also need that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we often chat about in my practice is a buffer time for parents. It really is something you would have to work at. It's not easy at all. So for me, a buffer time is 15 minutes between work and spending time with your kids, whether it's coffee, with your feet up, sitting in the garden, whether it's, with some parents, I've even said, if you have to go past the Wimpy for that coffee because the children are not at the Wimpy, do that. But take a 15-minute break where you kind of let go of what's happened at work before you walk in through your front door. I know there's a story, I'm probably not going to remember it 100% well, but a story about a guy who had a tree outside of his home. And every day, before he walked in through his front door, he'd hang a ribbon in the tree, and then he'd walk into the front door. And eventually somebody asked him, but why are there all these ribbons on the tree? And he said, that's my work stress. I won't take it into the house with me. So I hang it on the tree and I leave it there when I go into the house to see my family. And we're not doing that. So we need to find a way to do that. So it can be something symbolic like that. Absolutely. Have a little bucket outside and chuck a stone in it that resembles the weight of work as you walk in through the door. Find something that works for you. But if you need that buffer, 15 minutes by yourself having a coffee, that's not meeting with the maids and hanging out and having drinks. It's really just getting your head together so that when you walk into the home, that you're in a good space and the children get the best of you because they haven't had you all day. And that's really, really important. So if you can do it at home, that's also great. And there are a lot of parents that do. They'll say to their kids, Mommy just wants to sit down and have a cup of tea. As soon as my tea's finished, we're going to play a game or we're going to do something. So that buffer is really, really important. The other thing that's really important is a lot of the children that I see will tell me that they know they're loved, but they don't feel needed. Okay, so what happens is Mommy gets home from work and we eat and we bath and we have a story and we go to bed, but I'm not really needed. She doesn't need me for anything. So in those few hours that you're home with the kids after work, get them to do stuff with you, to help you with stuff, because when we ask our children to help us with stuff, it makes them feel needed. So can you help me tear up the lettuce leaves while I cut up the tomato for the salad? So don't confuse that with, can you help me and pick up the dog poo? That's a chore. That's not something you're being helped with. When I talk about the children helping you, it's them doing something together with you. That's what they want. They want that together time with you. So even if you're cooking supper and you really just don't have time, you can do something like have the child sitting at the counter and play noughts and crosses with them. I really need to de-stress. Can you help me with a fun game? Let's play noughts and crosses while I'm stirring the soup. You can do that. So it's really about being creative, but including the children in whatever time you can, because the children need your time and they need to know that they need it and they want it.
And parents have so little time with children as it is. They're dashing from work home to fetch kids, and their work day maybe finishes at 5, even 6, and so you only have a small amount of time with your children anyway, and you've got to do the chores and cook the meal and everything. So I think finding that time to connect with your children in that way is super important. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously there's a lot of recommendations where parents are told, you need to spend half an hour with every child per day, and you need to, what I always say to parents is, you've got to do what you can do. So don't sit and not spend time with them and feel terribly guilty because you can't give them half an hour. Give them what you've got, but give them something. So the other thing is, for instance, the example I use a lot is if you've got to sit down and play Barbie doll with your daughter because you want to give them quality time and you hate Barbie, right? You're not going to sit and have an hour's play date with your child and actually fully enjoy it. And your child is going to know that because they can read that. Rather spend 15 minutes playing Barbie where you know that at the end of 15 minutes, you've, set the oven clock. So you've got to leave the room to go and turn off the oven clock and start supper. And your child knows when the oven clock rings, I'm going to go and Mom's going to go and start supper. You will find that you fully engage in that Barbie game because you know it's only 15 minutes. And your child will know that you're fully engaged. So I would rather have a shorter period of fully engaged time than have a longer period where the kid kind of knows that you keep thinking about work and you're checking your WhatsApps and everything. So again, that time that you're spending with your child, if it's 15 minutes, do not have your cell phone in the room. You will be tempted and the cell phone will always win. So that's a really, really important thing in terms of doing that. And what does sometimes work for some parents is, to actually schedule their kids in. It sounds terrible, but our children feel important if they know you're making that time for them. So what we've done with some parents is, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6 to 6:15, Mom is going to spend time with Jimmy and Dad's going to spend time with Sarah. And then you swap on the other days so that both of you get individual time with your child. But you can still eat dinner together as a family and stuff like that, but you get individual time with each of your children. And that works really nicely as well.
Those are
so again,
ideas,
it doesn't have to be, parents often think it's got to be something big and expensive. So take them to iJump. They don't need that. They need you. So, I often say to parents, even if, you have Nesquik and you make a strawberry milkshake and you sit outside in the sun together and talk, you don't have to go somewhere. You just have to be available. That's what our children need from us, our availability.
What an incredible wealth of knowledge and insight, and some really practical things that you could do to help your child and connect with your child when you are supporting them with anxiety. So I really hope that you enjoyed that today and that you gained something that you can use in your family with from this video today. Remember that the full free masterclass is available to you. Just click on the link in the description below. I'll also drop links to Claire's website and her Facebook page so that you can connect with her in those places. And if you like to read, the blog post for this video is also attached, or the link is attached in the description below. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you found it valuable. And I know the masterclass is something that you will find valuable because of all the practical implementation that you can do in your very own family and home. As always, don't forget to like and share this so that other parents who are struggling with anxiety can also find the support that they need. And feel free to leave any questions or comments in the comments section at the bottom of this video. Claire will be there as well, so we can answer any questions you might have. And feel free, if you need any extra support, to drop an email to me at any time, lisa@learnwithconfidence.com, or reply to any of my emails that I send you. And I will answer your questions or find answers to your questions. I'm here to support you as a parent. So let's do this together and find the support that we need. Have a fantastic day. I will see you next time.